we got some really cool movie news
Yeah, we
from,
did. Yeah.
yeah, the new Quentin Tarantino movie
Mm-hmm.
was pretty much announced
Yeah.
from the Hollywood Reporter. It's called The Movie Critic, his new script. I don't know what, we don't really know anything about casting, but
But we know it's gonna be Tarantino, so it's gonna be a banger.
yeah, that's really exciting news
Yeah.
for someone like me. Tarantino is a guy that I go and see his films the first day it comes out,
Mm-hmm.
like religiously.
Mm-hmm.
Last time when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out, I drove 2.5 hours because I was in Idaho, and I
Yeah.
drove 2.5 hours from McCall, Idaho, which is North Idaho, down to Boise, where it was like the closest screening, and
Mm-hmm.
I had to do it. I had to go see it because this is what I do. And the only people that I go see their films first screening, like the closest screening I can get is Tarantino and Christopher Nolan. I go see their films first day when it comes out religiously.
Yeah.
And there's no one else that I do that for.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's because they had such a big impact on you. Like those are. I remember when we were growing up together. It's like those were the directors that influenced you the most. You
Yeah.
loved them in high school,
Yeah.
and they've always stuck with you, and you found like new directors that you love. But those are the ones that really started your passion for it.
For
So.
sure. Those are like the first guys I followed as filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
When you they're definitely entry level, but they're still sick as fuck. I feel like they really push the envelope, and you're just gonna get something different, and they're so passionate about films themselves, and they just want to try to surprise you every time,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of rare now with mainstream cinema. You're just gonna get something crazy, and you got Oppenheimer coming out
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
summer, and that'll be sick. But I read a little about the Movie Critic, and apparently it's going to be set in the late 1970s.
Okay. Yeah. That's his. He loves that era.
Yeah, he's only doing period pieces
Yeah.
now. Like since Inglourious Basterds, he's only done period pieces, and I think it's supposed to be a little bit based on the critic Pauline Kael. Yeah, he's been on this kind of critic role. He's doing more film criticism stuff now with his podcast, and he's wrote his book Cinema Speculation, which is a critical critique about films from the 70s and the new Hollywood. So he's very much in that mode now. His films are becoming more about films themselves,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. You can see his like because he's so passionate about that era and what made him fall in love with movies.
Yeah.
It was that late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you fall on if he's going to retire after this last movie or not?
Yeah, I think this is going to be his final movie
Mm-hmm.
because it sounds like it's going to be because it's supposed to be. He said it's supposed to be more like epilogue, like rounding off his filmography.
Mm-hmm.
He said that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was like really his magnum opus. That's where like everything kind of fell, and he was going to make his epic, bombastic film. And then this movie's going to be more of like an epilogue to kind of wrap up his whole filmography. So I really do think it's going to be his last movie, unless maybe 10 years down the line he gets a crazy idea.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one or two more.
Yeah.
But I think it's dope that he's quitting. I think it's dope that he's retiring off, at the top, and he's
Mm-hmm.
leaving you wanting more
Yeah.
rather than like him slowly just falling off and we're like, oh yeah, what happened to that guy or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
even though I don't think that would ever happen if he kept on making movies because he's just too passionate about it. He's not going to make trash if he doesn't want to. Like
Mm-hmm.
he knows what works, and you get it. Like his movies are very satisfying to watch,
Yeah.
and I don't want him to put out anything if he feels like he's not confident with it. And I like that it's like 10 movies in his filmography, even though it's technically I think it's 11 because Kill Bill he's kind of Kill Bill as one movie,
Yeah.
and it's two movies because we paid twice to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really 11 movies, but whatever. I'll give it to him 10.
I think he's definitely going to retire after this. He's been saying it forever.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying, oh, like, there's no way he's going to retire. This guy's not going to give up. But, like, you can come out of retirement. He's not promising he's never going to make another movie ever again.
Yeah.
But I do think he's really finding his love for, like, movie criticism and, like, writing about movies and doing the podcast and stuff that I think he's going to be more of a writer than a director for the next like at least 15 years or something after this.
Yeah, and we've gotten a lot of Tarantino content in the past couple of years without him even doing a movie.
Mm-hmm.
because he's dropped 2 books and he's got the Video Archives podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And if you live in LA, like it's we got the new Beverly Cinema, which is he curates himself. I'm pretty sure. I mean, he has a team and everything, but
Mm-hmm. Always on film.
yeah, it's always like he's still like working and doing his shit, and I think it's dope. And I'm fine with just getting books and listening to the podcasts
Yeah.
after. Like, we don't need another like. I would love to see another Quentin Tarantino movie, but there's going to be an era where we live in where it's like, oh, remember when Quentin Tarantino movies were still coming out? He
Yeah.
was still making films and not retired, and
Yeah.
we were around for that,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
what's so cool. With his new film, it'll be interesting to see because it'll be like a female lead in the late 70s, and it's going to be obviously about like movie critics, and I wonder how there's so much that he's probably going to do with that, and hopefully we're going to get some violence in it too.
Mm-hmm. I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. I mean, he has to, right?
Yeah. I hope it's not super duper hangout
Mm-hmm.
type movie. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was like, I feel like that was his most hangout movie he's done, and I hope it's more plot driven,
Mm-hmm.
and then we get the cool narrative, and it's not just like a hangout, like, oh, day in the life type bit, which is cool. I just hope we get like a cool narrative out of it and stuff.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll get, all the Tarantinoisms, snappy dialogue,
Yeah.
blood, it's going to be like a fun movie. He's not going to make it for no reason. He's going to have like it be enjoyable for the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And also he has a TV show coming out too, apparently.
Yeah.
So we're going to get a lot of Tarantino, media in the next couple years. And I'm happy for that, I'm excited. And if he retires, like I said, we're going to be fine just consuming that.
Is there anything like you anticipate from the film?
Well, I don't know much about it, but I'm excited for a female lead. I anticipate, a lot of people are going to want to work on this. A lot of high, A-list celebrities are going to want to be in this movie. And it's probably going to be a great cast, just like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Is it going to be set in Hollywood again?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be cool. He's going to have, like, great set pieces in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it'll get like a good budget. I think it's interesting that it's probably going to be like sort of based on Pauline Kael, I think it's his favorite film critic. He talks about how, I remember he's discussed how he likes to read. There's some movies that he just likes to read the Pauline Kael reviews more than actually watching the film stuff. Yeah. And Pauline Kael was kind of a controversial film critic because of just her, contrarian opinions to really popular films that like came out. Specifically Dirty Harry, saying how this is like a fascist film, blah blah blah, and kind of went against it. But then she was also a pioneer for films of the new Hollywood, like movies like Bonnie and Clyde and stuff. She gave a lot of critical praise to a lot of the new Hollywood films, and was a very influential film critic. Probably one of the most famous ones ever. But then she retired like right before Tarantino started making his films, so she never reviewed his movies, even though she was still alive. Yeah.
That's interesting. I can see why he would kind of align with her thought process, because there's a lot of people he doesn't like their classic movies, like Hitchcock, for example, and all these other famous directors that Tarantino just doesn't like, and he kind of goes against the grain on that one.
Yeah.
I can see him relating to her a lot.
Yeah.
That's interesting about Dirty Harry, because I can kind of see where she's coming from. It is kind of a fascist-esque movie with Dirty Harry kind of just taking the law into his own hands.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it so badass, That's what makes the audience love it.
Yeah, Tarantino is just doing movies now that take place in the past that are about films, because that's like his wheelhouse. Like, I don't think he has much to say about contemporary society anymore.
No, I think, he said many times that movies nowadays are kind of in like a lull period.
Yeah.
Where this era is kind of not the best for cinema. Yeah, I think he wants to make things of the past that, bring him nostalgia and bring him comfort. He wants to share that with the world.
Yeah. And the 1970s is probably the greatest decade for films.
Yeah.
Right? It is really the best.
Yeah.
If I had to choose one decade, I would probably choose the 1970s, and I think a lot of people would.
Mm-hmm.
So many good movies. Directors had so much control. They were so creative, and you got so much violence.
Mhm. You got so much pushing the boundaries of what you
Yeah,
can do in film.
yeah, you got a lot of artistry, and they got way more realistic too
Hmm.
compared to the classic Hollywood sort of stage-driven set, inside studio.
Yeah. Think about like The Conversation or something like that,
Yeah.
where it's just like so it seems so based in reality that no other movie up to that time had really like achieved that.
Mhm.
Medium Cool came out in the 70s.
1969.
Ooh,
But that's New Wave. That's
that
that's
is
the
new
New
wave.
Hollywood, because New Hollywood definitely started in 1967 with Bonnie and Clyde and The Graduate, and then Easy Rider came out, and it was like, okay, this is like the bomb that was dropped, and then 1970 the war was won,
Hmm.
as he says in Cinema Speculation,
Yeah,
which we should talk about
yeah.
sometime.
I gotta
But
finish it though.
anyway, yeah, super excited for that. He's gonna start shooting in the fall, and then probably be out 2024, dude.
Yeah.
2024 is going to be a good year for films, because
Hmm.
if we got that coming out, and then we got the new Bong Joon-ho coming out too,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is going to be sick.